Hey guys, back at you with another great video. In this tutorial, we're going to teach you how to create one of these cookie messages that you see on every other website. And we're also going to show you how to create a cookie. That way, when the user clicks on this button and they come back to the website, they won't be able to see that message anymore. The reason that we don't want them to see that message is because if we keep showing it to them every single time, it's going to annoy them. So let me show you the cookie that we're going to create in this tutorial. So I'm going to go to application, and if you see here, we created this cookie with an expiration date of 30 days. So they won't be able to see that message until 30 days from now. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to do is create a section with an ID of cookies. And in here, we're going to create a class with the name of container. And within this one, we're going to create another class with the name of subcontainer. These two classes are going to help us make this responsive on big screen sizes. All right, now let's create a class with the name of cookies. And this is where the message is going to go and also the button. So the message is going to say this website uses cookies to ensure you get the best experience on our website. So let's type it in here. All right, and now we're going to add a link, and this is going to take the user over to a document that contains information about why you're using cookies and how you're using cookies. So we're going to give this a name of more info. That way the user can just click on this and then it's going to take them over to that page. So let's add an href in there, and of course this is where you're going to add that link to take them over to that page. We're not actually going to be creating that page. I'm going to leave that up to you. But this is where you would add the link to take them over to that page. All right, and under here, let's create a button that says, "That's fine." So basically the user is agreeing to the cookies and they're just gonna click on this button. So we're gonna give this an ID of cookies button, or BTN for short. All right, and that's it for the HTML. All right, let's resize this. And I already have my live server open over here with the message. All right, I'm just going to Control V to paste the font family that I'm going to be using for this project. So here I am using the Google Font API. You absolutely do not need this, but I just thought it would be a good idea to make this look a little bit nicer than just leaving the default font. So we're bringing in the Roboto font. You absolutely do not need it, but if you want it, go ahead and just copy this and you'll be able to access it as well. All right, now we're going to remove the default padding and margin from all of the elements. All right, let's get access to the body. Let's change the font size to 1 rem. And let's change the font family to the one that we just brought in, Roboto, and we're going to use sans serif as well. All right, let's get access to the container. We're going to give this a width of 1600 pixels. And we're going to use margin auto. All right, that together with our subcontainer, which we're going to give a width of 85% and margin auto as well, is going to make it responsive on big screen sizes. But right now, because we did set this to 1600 pixels, we cannot see our message in its entirety here. So we are going to add some media queries in here. So media, and then max width at 1600 pixels. We're going to change the width of our container to 100%. And of course, this is going to make it responsive on small screen sizes. And let's go ahead and add another media query in here, which is necessary because I found that at lower than 1024 pixels, the cookies class, which we have not actually added CSS properties to yet, it does not have enough padding on the top and the bottom, so we're going to add 10 pixels on the top and the bottom. All right, now we can continue here. All right, let's get access to the cookie section. We're going to give this a width of 100%. Let's use position fixed together with bottom 0, and this is going to ensure that our message is going to be at the bottom of the screen. All right, let's change the color of the text to white. And the background color, I'm going to go with black. but we do not want to use a solid color, otherwise we won't be able to see the contents that are in the back of the website. So I'm going to change that to 0.7. I'm also going to use a Z index of 1 to ensure that this message is always on top of the other contents of the website. Let's also use display none, but we're going to comment this out because we want to be able to see the message as we work with our CSS here. All right, let's move on to the cookies class. We're going to give this a minimum height of 70 pixels. Let's use display flex and justify content space between, and this is going to ensure that the text is always on the left and the button is always on the right. All right, let's place this in the center, and let's also use flex wrap. That way when the text gets too close to the button goes under the text. I feel like it's a little bit too close together, so we're going to use a gap of 10 pixels. All right, now for the link, I don't know if you can see it, but let's make it a little bit more visible. We're going to change the color to yellow, and let's also change the font weight to 500 so it can match with the other text. Let's also remove that line under the text, so we're going to set text decoration to none. All right, and last but not least, we're going to add some properties to the cookies button. So let's give it round edges with border radius 5 pixels. Let's give it some padding, 8 pixels on the top, 12 on the right, 8 on the bottom, and 12 on the left. Let's also change the font size, 1 rem. Let's use font family inherit so it can inherit that Roboto font family that we brought in. Let's use cursor pointer, and let's give it a border of 3 pixels, solid white, and a background color of black. And let's change the color of the text to white. And of course, you can customize this however you want. And of course, you're going to want to customize this so it can match with your website and what you got going on. All right, let's move on to the JavaScript. All right, the first thing we want to do here is get access to this button. So as soon as the user clicks this, we want this to disappear off the screen. And also we want to create our cookie at that point. So let's get access to this button. So we're going to do document, query selector. We gave that an ID of cookies button. All right, let's add an event listener. I'm going to go ahead and expand this so we can see this a little bit better. And this is going to be a click event. And let's create our function in here. All right, so when the user clicks on that button, we want to make that whole section display none. So we're going to select the cookies section, and we're going to use style display. We're going to set that equal to none. All right, so now when you click on that button, it's not that whole section, and the whole message is not going to appear on the screen. All right, so that's done. And now we want to create our cookie. So let's call on this function that we're going to create right now. We're going to call it set cookie, and this is going to have 3 things that we're going to pass to it. The name of the cookie, whatever we want to call it. We're going to call it cookie here, but it doesn't have to be cookie. It can be whatever you want. We're going to set this equal to true. So that's going to be the value, and we're going to pass it a 30. 30 means that we want it to expire in 30 days. So as soon as the user clicks on that button, that we're going to create a cookie, but it's going to expire in 30 days. So in 30 days, when they come back to the website, they're going to be able to see the message again. You can change this to whatever you want. It could be, I don't know, 5 days. It could be 90 days, whatever you want. Let's just use 30 for this example. All right, so now let's create this function. I'm actually going to create that function up here. All right, so this is going to have 3 things coming in: the cookie name, the cookie value, and the expiration days. All right, let's grab the current date and start in this variable date. Now we're gonna change the time from today to 30 days. So this is gonna, if today is like the 1st of the month, then it's gonna expire on like the 31st of this month or on the 1st of next month. And this is how we're gonna do this. So we're gonna get the time, the current time, and then we're gonna add the expiration days that the user wanted. I actually meant this to be a capital D here, sorry. So capital D there. And the way we do this is we just multiply this by the number of hours in a day, the number of minutes in an hour, the number of seconds in a minute, and 1000, and this represents one second, and this is in milliseconds. All right, and now that we have the time that we want, we're going to create a variable that's going to hold the expiration date. So this is going to say expires equals, and that this is just syntax for creating a cookie. And we're going to add the date, and we have to use this TUCT string, and this is going to convert it into a string that we can use here to create our cookie. All right, now we have the expiration date. Now we actually have to create the cookie. So let's do document cookie. This is how we create it. And we have to include the 3 things that we need to create our cookie. The name of our cookie, which of course is coming in through CNAME, which we gave a name of cookie. Also, and we have to include equals in there. Now we have to include the value, which we're going to set to true in this example. And one more thing that we have to include here is the expiration date. And actually this is the final thing. So this is a path, and what this represents is the particular path that you want this cookie to be created on. So in this case, we're using the path of the home page. That's why we're just including this. But if you wanted to create a cookie whenever the user goes into the about page, for example, then you would include that in there. If you want to create a cookie when the user goes into multiple pages, then you just separate them with a comma there. So you can add more in here for your like contact page or whatever you want. But in this case, we only have one page, and it's the home page, so we're just using the slash. All right, so here we have our set cookie function. We can actually go back to our project here. Let's expand this, and then I'm going to inspect here. I'm going to click on application down here. If I can select this application, and notice if I click on this, we find this here. I'm not sure what this is. Doesn't matter, has nothing to do with our project, but we don't have a cookie. So as soon as we click on this, this is going to disappear, and we're going to create a cookie. So let's click this, and we have to refresh to actually see it. And now notice that the cookie is here, and with a value of true, and it has an expiration date of February the 3rd. So today is January 4th, so this is 30 days from today. All right, so now you might be wondering, why did this show up? Well, that's because we have not checked to see if we already created a cookie. So now we have to create another function that's going to check if we already have a cookie, and if we do have one, then we do not want to display this message. All right, let's go back to the project. So up down here, let's create that function, get cookie. And this just has the name of the cookie coming in. So that's all we need to access the cookie. All right, so to check if a cookie with this name exists, we have to do a couple of things in here. First, we're going to create a variable with the name of the cookie together with this equals symbol. Now we're going to create another variable called cDecoded, and we use decode URI component in there, and we have to type in document cookie. All right, that creates an array, so we're going to call it the CR or cookie array, and we have to split that array up, and we're going to split it up using this built-in function split, and we want to split it up wherever there's a semicolon. All right, now we're going to grab the value, so we're going to start in this variable value, and the way that we're going to grab it is we have to go through the array. So we're going to use for each, So we're going to check if val index of name equals 0, then we're going to set the value equal to val substring name length. And I know that this does not make a whole lot of sense. I actually learned this from W3 Schools. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to the document. It's actually a very good document. This does not make a whole lot of sense to me as to why you have to do this just to grab the value of the cookie, but unfortunately this is a step that we got to take in order to grab the value of the cookie. All right, so now that we have the value here in this variable, we're going to return this. So let's do a return value. All right, now that we have that function done, every time that we run this project, we want to check if we have a cookie already, if a cookie already exists. So let's go down here. Let's create a function called cookie message. And we're going to check if it's not equal to true, meaning we do not have a cookie. So we're going to call on that function get cookie, and we're going to pass it the name of the cookie of the name of our cookie, which we call the cookie. All right, so we're going to check if this cookie does exist, or actually if it does not exist. If it does not exist, that means that we want to show the user the message. So let's do document query selector. Let's get access to our section, which we gave an ID of cookies, and we're going to set style display, and we're going to set that equal to block. All right, so we want to call on this function every single time that we run the project. So let's do window add event listener. So on load, we want to call on this function cookie message. All right, and one final thing that we did not do is uncomment this. So we want to uncomment this display none here. All right, let's go back to the project, and currently we do have a cookie because we already clicked on that button. So now when we click on this, the message is not going to display because we do have a cookie. Let's select it, let's delete it, and now when we refresh this, it is going to show up, and now we do not have the cookie down here because we deleted it. So let's click this again, let's click refresh, and notice the message is not showing up no more, and our cookie is here once again. So what's going to happen when this cookie expires? When it expires, it's simply going to disappear off your browser here, and the message is going to show up once again on the screen. So you don't have to worry about, oh, what happens when the cookie expires. No, it's going to do that on its own. It's going to show the message again to the user in 30 days in this case. All right, that's going to be it for this tutorial. Please make sure to hit the like button if this was useful for you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.